Washington had no hesitation in this offseason. They hired Bob Myers, a special consultant.
They're taking advantage of the fact that players and celebrities are public figures, and they're.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sean Spencer.
And I am Tina Winter, and this is this week's rendition. I'm losing my mind right now. Of Let's Talk Football Breaking News edition. I don't know.
Yeah. You already know. We're all good. What's going on, Tina? How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Pretty good. It's been kind of a slow week, getting ready for the draft and some college spring games, some of that stuff. Just, trying to deal with the allergies and whatnot. But you know how it goes.
Oh, yeah, I do. I know exactly how the allergies go. So
it changes everything. Listen, look, Let's talk about some NFL free agency. Not as many major moves are happening right now, but a lot of things are still kind of flowing. Talk to us about some of the things that have going on.
I mean, right now we're just kind of seeing like the official contracts coming out with they've said, oh, like so-and-so is going to sign with this person or that person. We're seeing a lot of that. A couple of the ones the big one that came out today is Devonta Smith signed a 3-year extension with the Eagles for $51 million guaranteed, added to his 5th-year option that he still had when he got traded. His total contract is going to be worth $90.59 million. So the Eagles are going to have him for the next 4 years. So he'll be there through 2029. Let's see. I know this name just because we played the Patriots a lot. Logan Ryan retired this year, so he won't. He was a cornerback, I believe. Jags signed Josh Allen to a new 5-year, $150 million contract.
Yes. Shout out to him.
They tagged him, so that's how they worked that deal out. Let's see. Nick Chubb lowered his base salary for Cleveland to $11.75 million. And then we do have another trade concerning with the draft coming up, and this is also with Cleveland. They traded an offensive tackle, Leroy Watson, to the Titans.
Okay.
And in return, Cleveland's going to get a 2024 7th-round pick. So those are the major ones. The other thing that kind of came around, everybody was seeing about it, is that like there's all these rumors that Ayuk is looking for a new position or a new place to land.
Yeah.
The guy I follow, Benjamin Albright, he's kind of been like, people have been saying, oh, you said this was going to, he's been very specific. He said, I never said Ayuk asked for a change. I said the Eagles were interested in a deal.
Yeah.
But people are running with this story a little more. And so Ayuk kind of came out through the press and said, I'm not looking for a trade.
Right.
Like, I'm not running this.
Look, there's a lot of mouths to feed in San Francisco, and I mean, he had, I believe, 75 receptions last year, like 1,200 yards. Like, he had a solid year. And I understand because right now he's a number 2. You're not gonna usurp Debo out there, and in production, he's a number 3 because you got CMC. You got McCaffrey, and you got Debo getting a lot of that attention. So the fact that he was able to get as many yards as he did was actually fairly impressive. So, yeah, there's been a lot of talk in Washington about potentially getting him because he would immediately become our number 1.
Everybody about getting
Everybody
him.
wants it. He's a quality receiver. I mean, he deserves that. So, I mean, I understand that. So, but
if you're Ayuk and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, if you want to trade for me, who other than San Francisco, besides the Chiefs, is close enough that could give him a deal that he could be in the running for the Super Bowl next year? Some teams don't want to be that number 1 guy with the number 1 money. They want to be on a team that they know are going to win. Right. So that's why I think he's like, I never asked for anything. I
Mm,
don't want I'm like he's not saying I won't take a deal. He's just saying I'm not doing this.
yeah.
It's other teams are asking. So who knows? Watch out. Like it'll turn out it'll be like Kansas City gets him for some obnoxious amount of money or something like that.
You know
So
how it, yeah, you know how it goes. Look, some of the names that I have seen, one that I was surprised about, are linebacker Kaliki Hudson out of Michigan. He got is an unrestricted free agent, went to the Saints. CJ Uzama, CJ Uzama, from he used to be the tight end from the Bengals. I think he moved along. I don't know if he was at Atlanta last year, but he is now at Philly. Got signed in Philly. And Lyle Collins got picked up by Buffalo, man, to help restore that line and give Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen, some
right.
protection out there. So a lot of the moves are kind of slowing down. It's getting a little quieter. Nothing major is going on. I mean, obviously since the Stephon Diggs trade over to the Texans and whatnot. So everybody's getting ready for the draft. You guys were talking about it on your last show. Will and I
Mhm.
are going to be talking about it on Washington Football Weekly this Wednesday. What we're expecting, how our thoughts about the free agency. Now that we're kind of past the free agency, what are your, like, what grade would you give your Broncos?
C plus, B minus, C plus.
Hmm.
I think they filled some holes, but they weren't crazy.
Yeah.
Like they weren't splashy. And I think that's because I think that Sean's trying to make this team his team. It's not anybody else's team. He's
I am.
gotten rid of the people that he doesn't want anymore. They're trying to turn over positions, and I think they're going to try and draft some people.
Hmm.
I'm okay with it. Kind of like people that were on the show, we were from the extent of burn down the house
Right.
to
Right.
we just need a quarterback. We are all over the place, which is why I did that show, and which is why I was kind of asked the
Great
people
show.
that was going to be on it
What
because
show was that?
that would be Mile High Minute. They kind of quiet right now, but once we get back into the season, we will do a weekly show and everything. And I think with the guys, I'm going to bring them back after the draft, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll kind of do a
Okay.
here's what we think of the show.
Yeah.
Here's what we think they did. How do we think they did? Um, I was actually one of those of being like rebuild and let's just take Stidham. We paid 7 million for him to come. Let's take him. Let's run. Let's rebuild. Fill the other positions. I still don't want a quarterback in the first round. I want us either we need to take a skill player or an edge rush or somebody to beef up our defense
Yeah.
and then pick a then get a quarterback maybe later in the rounds. But a lot of people think we're heading towards Penix. So
Mm.
we'll see what happens. Who knows? Sean Payton makes these I don't want to say squirrely, but he makes these like comments that the press is all like, what did he mean by that? He could have meant this, or he meant this, or he meant
Right.
that. He's talking about like having experience in the
Yeah.
position. So now people are like, is he going for a veteran? Who's
But
left? Like,
yeah, and shout out to those guys, man. And I think Steve said it. He said it best. But a lot of the stuff that you hear right now is just conjecture, just speculation, just because there's
mm-hmm,
nothing going on, and they just
mm-hmm.
want to throw some stuff out there. But I was very interested in Gavin's response, talking about getting Brock Bowers. I was like,
He wants
whoa.
Brock.
And look,
Yeah.
shout out to our guy Anthony Handy, who has been telling me for several years and will tell all of you, Brock Bowers is by far one of the best tight ends, by far the best tight end last year in college football. And hey, he deserved all the praise, all the attention that he's going to get. So it would be a solid pick. I mean, he might be one of the best guys you've had since a Shannon Sharp, Uncle Shay Shay. I mean,
Yeah, Shannon Sharp can hands down. Like he's still one of my favorite people. The thing is I honestly think Bowers is going to get picked before number 12.
that's
I
true. Yeah,
really do.
yeah,
Like if you
yeah.
don't need a quarterback, you're looking for a wide receiver or you're looking for a tight end, maybe an edge rusher, depending on who's available and things. You're not generally looking for um, the like a tight end in the first round.
Right.
Besides, like what me and Steve said, you could practically see us shuddering during this section. Like the idea of picking another tight end in the
Yeah. Yeah.
first
Yeah.
round makes me like,
I
we got
understand. Now he's not no
Dulcich, we
fan.
got Fant,
I
we got.
know this guy's otherworldly. I'm telling
I
you,
know.
talk to Handy. But yeah,
Don't
I
get
get
me
it. I
don't
get
get
it.
me wrong. I mean, talking to Handy is why I want Amari Mims in number 12.
Exactly.
Because we're gonna have to replace part of our tackles. And
Yeah.
talking to Handy, he's like Mims can actually play left and right.
Yeah.
He's ambidextrous, so he would be a great person that you could slide in and out. But if he's 12 and he's there, you take the best player you have to take. And that's why if we take a quarterback, I'll be okay. If we take a tight end, I'll be
Yeah.
okay. It's
You
just the
need
team
you
needs
need
some real help.
weapons. Yeah, you need
We
weapons to
need
help
weapons.
whoever the quarterback is, which kind of leads me to my next point of
I want to
Todd
show you something.
trying.
See this list right here? That is a list of all the positions we really need help with.
Yeah. Oh.
It's literally the entire team.
Oh yeah. But look, that brings me to my next point of Todd, who wanted to burn it all down. You know, and let me ask you this: he said something that's interesting. Who could save money? Is there anywhere would you really realistically think of going with Jared Stidham next year? Would you?
Yeah,
You would?
I had I have no problem with it.
Okay.
In the beginning of the year, that's where I was at. I was like, let's go with Stidham. We paid $7 million for this guy. Everybody's like, oh, well, he didn't play well. He had 3 games.
Right. You mentioned that. Right.
Like, that's it. 3 games is not enough to determine whether he should be there. And secondly, he was also coming out of a backup situation in the Raiders. So he wasn't the first guy anyways. And Sean Payton, like I said on the show, Sean Payton doesn't need a flashy kind of QB. He
Mm-hmm.
wants you to be able to throw the long ball. He wants you to be able to, but he is a dink and dunk, scream
Right.
guy, run the
Right.
ball,
Set up the next.
game manager, quarterback.
Right.
So you don't need Brees. Now Drew Brees was talented,
Mm-hmm. Coming out
but
for
he had the
absolutely
brain. Him and Peyton have the game manager brain.
worked well together.
Extreme talent to go with it, but they could think like an offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Sean needs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm okay with it as long as we don't take. Well, you heard on the show. As long as we don't trade Pat Surtain, I am okay with whatever the team wants.
I mean, you talk about burning down the house. That's burning down the house, the farm, the whole thing. Good.
That's
Great.
essentially giving Mahomes the division for the next 6 years. Like,
Wow.
everybody talks about
Mahomes
this.
might already have that right now. So.
Well, he does.
Yeah.
But at least with Surtain, it's making him think about it. Like,
Slow it down.
can't throw that side. It's not all like instead of going from like 6 targets, he's down to like 4 targets.
Right.
And you can control it. It's a conversation we had about Sauce Gardner. When I was kind of teasing you, I was like, well, his numbers aren't that great this year. You're like, because no one's throwing to him.
Nobody's throwing it. Shutting it down.
That's the reason.
Yeah.
So, that was funny when Gavin was like, no, we're not trading Garrett Bowles. I was like, wow, okay. But they've all been there on our friendly chat that we have with other people where people bring up Surtain's name and Steve's like, I can literally see you seething over there trying not to say,
are you kidding me?
Him alone.
Come on now. Yeah, no. Absolutely. So with Washington, right now for me, I give us B. I give us B. Maybe
I think you guys have had a really good free agency.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. We're really it's half 50%. We're going to do something this year with Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner on the 1-year deals, really trying to make it happen this year. But then the other 50 is like we're just building depth. And it really makes you excited about going into the draft because now we don't have to worry about linebacker. We don't have to worry about pieces. I mean, maybe get a nice edge rusher, but we have the depth in there. So we're not having to worry about a lot of stuff. We can get the best player available at each position and be good about it. And this has not been a situation that we've been in a while. Plus, with the new coach, new whole system. Shout out to you for sending me that. I was watching that, what you were sending me. Like, I'm very excited. Now, obviously, I'm a Washington fan. I'm cautiously optimistic because, like I said last week, we are off-season all-stars. You know what I mean? We win the Super Bowl in the off-season every year, and then some in the season it just does not seem to translate. But I I'm liking where we're going. Leading into the draft, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm trusting. I'm putting my
You're
trust in
trusting the
Adam Gase.
process.
Yes. Well, Josh Harris, our owner, who's the owner of the Sixers, absolutely. And that's what it
Hmm.
is. So I'm
He knows
excited
what.
about that. We'll
Yeah.
see if that carries over. But they've already shown me that they are trying to work towards that. Even if we don't win big next year, we might go 8-9, or we might, just go over 9-8, something like that, like right over 500. But that's fine because what they're trying to build is for the future, and that's what
Hmm.
excites me about the draft, this draft, and the next one's coming up. Because another guy we have, Bob Myers, which was the architect of the great dynasty of the Golden State Warriors, with Steph and Clay and Draymond and all that stuff. He is also with us. So now we're talking
Hmm.
about getting good people in here and good situations. The stars are aligning, Tina. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Well, that's good. I mean, that's the thing. Like when you get new management, especially when you have a, a, a a team, a system, and things that are in there, and things start because you guys came from a winning record. I remember the Redskins when I was a kid. You guys were always in the playoffs. You were always Riggins. Sorry, Riggins was
Oh, yeah.
one of my dad loved that man. He loved watching your guys' games when they
Yeah.
were on.
The
So I grew
Eagle.
up with that. Yep, and like that was the thing. Like when you have a team that goes through such an overhaul like that, and the one thing that we kind of touched on this a little bit with on the show was like there's a you guys your group is bringing a lot of collateral that they can put into this. And like what you
Right.
said, he's gone through this with another sports team. So he knows to hire the best people to do what he needs them to do, and you do
Right.
the rebuild. And that's the same thing of why, because I actually was in favor of Harris, because Harris had a bid in for us too.
Mm-hmm.
I liked his bid. It's
Right.
just the Waltons had so much money to be able to put into it and put into the stadium. And that's where I also think a lot of people are not understanding when things are being done with their teams is you have to look at where the money comes from
Right. Right.
because and I hate to say it this way, but it's true with everything. The more money you have to spend and the more of a corporate structure you have with your team, the more likely you are to spend money on things you don't necessarily need, but are a luxury, like new stadium, new lockers, making sure that, like, if you need to rebuild to do improvements to your stadium, you can do them yourself. You don't have to go to the city for them. So
Mm.
some of the other teams, like the Chiefs, right now, that stadium needs to be overhauled, but they're not spending a lot of money.
Mm.
Bears are a family owned team. They're not spending a lot of money. And so you can kind of see some of that. So that's why I was glad that Harris got your guys' bid
Mm.
because he's got the money to do it. Um, Nick and I have kind of talked about this, and he's also, I think it was Nick talked to me. No, it was a coworker who talked to me about this. There's a guy here in Chicago, Citadel is the company, and I think that when Virginia I want to say McCaffrey when it's McCaskey, when she dies, I think the McCaskies are going to probably sell the team to him or somebody else because the the rest of the family doesn't want to do with it. And that's what it is, stay in business. You've got to be willing to pay the money. You've got to be willing to put some of your own money in the deals. You've got to be willing to guarantee money and all this stuff. And if you're not, you're going to sit there at the bottom. So thank God you got rid of Snyder.
Mm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Sorry.
That was good.
That part of the whole thing is what really I love that part of it. Like looking at where this stuff comes from and
Right.
you can see patterns.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a quick breather, and then we will be back with some overreaction or reality. Stick with us.
What? What? Really?
Hey there, ladies and gents. It's your local handyman, Anton Benton, here to help you with your problems. I'm here right now on the job site, taking out whole kitchen cabinets. A little bit more work to do, but if you got a project at your house that you need to get completed, I'm your guy to finish it up for you. Give me a call, let me know what you need to get done.
About your new company, man. Shout out to your new company. Go ahead and tell the world about your new company real quick.
Oh boy. So, marketing Anton Benton Pros.
Yes.
Doing everything from plumbing to electrical to making huge decks to doing closets.
Yes.
Doing it all. Doing it all.
That's what's up, man. I'm super happy
Thank
for
you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, buddy, that is my guy, Anton Benton, living in Virginia Beach right now. Definitely shout him out. Awesome Artisans is on Instagram, awesome_artisans. Definitely get in touch with him. All his work is on there. He travels. He does good work, hard worker, and will do it in a timely manner. So definitely want to get in touch with him. But look, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, maybe have not watched us, we have a segment that my girl Tina has brought up called Overreaction or Reality, ladies and gentlemen. So when we do this, we pose a situation or a question or something out there, and we give our thoughts. Is it an overreaction, the statement, or is it reality? Obviously, the 2020 NFL draft is upon us, so we have to ask the question, or we have to make the statement and give our 2 cents. The QB draft hype is ruining the QB position. Is this an overreaction or reality? I'm going to start first and foremost. I think this is reality. I do.
I agree.
I mean, to me, I think that you continually hyping up these guys and pushing them up, saying before the season even starts, this guy is going to be a number 1 or number 2 draft pick, or before he's done anything in any game, this guy is going to be the greatest. And we're getting younger and younger and younger. And they're continually projecting these guys as the next best thing. How many times we've heard everything about Arch Manning? I still have yet to see Arch Manning play a college football game. And yet he's touted as the next thing, obviously because of the name. But honestly, you look at guys like Trey Lance. You look at guys like Zach Wilson. You look at the late Dwayne Haskins or Daniel Jones. All these guys that get picked so high, and you're just like, these guys aren't that good. And the NFL and the media and everybody's hyping them up. It's ruining it because you got these guys coming in, and Carson Wentz he's a mid-tier quarterback, but he got picked first, second, like early first round. And what happened? This should not be a surprise to us. The success that these guys had, maybe that should be a surprise, because I watched a lot of that film going to Brock Purdy. I watched a lot of that film from Iowa State. Brock Purdy was a baller. Now he had Breece Hall there, and he had Xavier Hutchinson at wide receiver, and he had Charlie Kohler at tight end. But if you don't watch college football, you wouldn't know that Brock Purdy he's a gamer. And he had many matchups with Oklahoma and Jalen Hurts and outclassed him. So, listen, I get it. Just like Steve was saying, nothing else to talk about. Everybody wants to hype stuff. They just want to keep talking. It almost seems like the more you talk about it, the better these guys become. Anthony Richardson became a top 5 pick last year, and when he was at the end of the season, people are like, this guy's a 3rd rounder. But because of all the things he can do with the combine at the pro day and how far he can throw, he got moved up. He didn't finish the season. Now, I don't know if this is that, but listen, look, for me, we need to pump our brakes on these quarterbacks. I understand the quarterback is the main cog in the wheel, but at the same time, you putting all this money into this hope, this potential guy that he could be the savior of your franchise, it scares me, and it's hurting these guys because you're going to get some Jamarcus Russells. So
No, you're always going to get you're going to get a Jamarcus Russell no matter what, every once in a while.
Right.
The way I look at it is, it's exactly like the Moneyball situation that happened in Major League Baseball, where you had these scouts that for generations were like, oh, he has a fastball. He looks like a pitcher. He has a pitcher's body. He has a catcher's body. The blah, 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 blah. And when they started getting into the analytics, they found out that none of that means anything.
No.
You've got to look at the on-base percentages. You've got to look at other things in these positions. And I think what we're having in this situation, it's not scouts in this case. I think what it is you're having some people that are looking at it in a more analytical level, like actually looking like when a quarterback, Kalen, when he plays a team that has a 75% win percentage or more, what are his stats?
Right.
Who is he winning against? What is he doing? Where are his passes? Where's all this stuff in there? And they're starting to bring that analytical information more into the story. And then everybody on the other side is like, absolutely not. No. He's built like a quarterback. He's tall. He looks good. He can hit. And it's like, that we got to stop doing that stuff, guys.
Yep.
We need to actually sit there and be as analytical as everybody else is and say, look, okay, fine. You want this guy for your team, but does your team play his style ball? Does your team have coaches that will work? And the other thing that nobody keeps, and this has been going on for a while, is that nobody's really thinking about how these guys, they're going from playing the top 15% of the football players in the country at different schools to playing the top 1%. And stuff is going to change. That is 100% going to change. The problem is that these guys are such an investment. They are such a huge part of their budget that teams and fans don't want to wait. They don't want them sitting on the bench for 3 years anymore. They don't. It's all about move on. Why? And this is a byproduct also bringing in the fantasy football stuff. I have him in fantasy football. I want him to be making points. I picked him to be making points. It's money. So I think it's reality. And on that, my question for overreaction versus reality is, Shakur, hold on, I gotta pull up the banner. But are we, with what we're talking about with these guys and all the hype and everything, is the Eli Manning effect going to change how teams draft in the future? When you have these guys coming out and saying, I will not play for that team. I want to go here, here, and here. And those are the only places I want to go. Is that an overreaction, or you think that's a reality? I think it's reality. I mean, we've been seeing it. We saw it this year with Caleb Williams. Agree?
I don't know. I think we haven't. I think with Deion Sanders, it's kind of similar to like Eli Manning. The Manning name carries weight. You know,
Sanders' name carries weight too. But I think it's Caleb's father was doing some of this stuff. I don't think it's going to happen every year.
I don't think Caleb Williams carries as much weight as that, like an Eli or a Deion.
Within football, correct. But what I meant more was like the dad was trying to control like what deal his kid would get. like he was, from what I could hear, the scuttle I was hearing is he was like trying to get like interest in the team, members, ownership interest in the team as part of his compensation. So like
Yeah, but
that's
who is he?
exactly. And well, that's the reaction that the
That's
teams
my
had.
point. Yeah.
The reaction was, no, you don't get that. I don't care
And
what
I
you
think
say.
that's what I think it's an overreaction, because I think if it's if it's Smith's son, or if it's you're talking about somebody like
Archie
Legend,
Manning.
their son. If we're talking about that Deion Sanders' son, and that's what the story is coming out, he has the pull to say that because they are legends, they are Super Bowl champs, or, whatever, what have you. But on the flip side, I just do not think that Caleb Williams, for however great he is, I don't think he has his parents have the pull, even though they were asking for that. I think that is more of the reality of you're going to have players with exceptional talent who have been told 2 years in a row they are going to be number one draft pick. They're going to start to say, hey, I do have a little bit more pull. I can't ask for a little bit more. If you think I'm so great, well, then I will ask you, well, let me be a part of X, Y, and Z. That I think will be a reality. But the Eli Manning effect, I don't think people will have that much clout, because I didn't think Eli had that much clout, but that Manning name was big. Caleb Williams, he might have that clout of where I can go this way, I can go that way, I can do whatever I want to, but I just don't think you're gonna have guys that good. So
yeah, and Archie is coming up, so we could see what happens with that one too. So, but that's a different Manning brother. That's not Eli. I mean, it's Archie Jr. is really who it is. So,
but that's a great point, because he will have that kind of, if he plays good in the next couple years, he's going to sit again this year behind Quinn Ewers. But if he plays good these next 2 years or after that, then he would get that. And he doesn't need much help. He's already gotten a push since he came out the womb. Like, he's already been the next coming of whatever. So,
yeah, Cooper is the brother. That is his dad. Cooper's a little bit different, and Cooper stays more back outside the limelight, not so much. So we could see what happens, but I do see the Manning name being able to give Archie a little more clout coming in when he is drafted. So, all right, well, that was my question about whether it's an overreaction or a reality. Sean, that's all I got. You got anything else?
There it is. No, I think we are all good. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for sitting with us and joining us on Let's Talk Football Breaking News. I am your host, Sean Spencer.
And I am Tina Winter. And thank you for joining us, guys. Have a good day.
We will talk to you later.
Kat.
Hi.
Washington had no hesitation